everyone, good afternoon and welcome back to Voyage. So today is Wednesday, which of course means I am doing a Wedding Wednesday with them video, and if you already follow me on Instagram then you know today's topic is going to be catering, so food and drink and so on. So the first thing I would say to you is that it is going to be one of your major costs, regardless of the size of the wedding, what time of day and so on you're getting married. So definitely factor that in straight away when you do your budget. In terms of your budget, food obviously will take a large proportion of it, but there are things you can do to save money, which I'll be covering later. The first thing obviously, as well as budget, that you also need to do is know how many guests you got and split it. So me and her, when we got married, we had the guests there for the whole day. It may be, depending on your venue, that you might have so many guests for the ceremony and then you might invite some more guests in the evening, which I think is quite common, and that's a good way to cut back on costs. So have people like your immediate family at the ceremony and wedding reception, and then in the evening you can invite your friends, work colleagues if you want, and so on. The time that you get married will have an impact on how much food you need and therefore how much money you spend out. We actually didn't get married till 3 o'clock, and I think looking back on it we probably had too much food, and I would say to you that if you are having an evening buffet or something in the evening, you don't need to cater for all of your guests, because obviously the guests that were there for the wedding reception, chances are they're not going to necessarily be as hungry. So if you're doing a buffet, speak to your caterers, but they might say to you only cover say 45 of 90 or whatever, so which doesn't sound a lot, but you'd be surprised how much food doesn't get eaten. And maybe talk to her about, for example, if you have the wedding cake, you could have that as dessert, and therefore if you have any left over, could they box it up for you, because obviously that's a nice thing to keep, especially if you want to keep one for your first child or christening and so on, or even your first wedding anniversary. Yeah, so if you are getting married sort of to the latter half of the afternoon, then for example we got married at 3, I think we had canapes more or less straight after, and then we had a sort of a relaxed sit down / barbecue meal. That was around 5. Obviously if you are having a barbecue, the thing you need to think of is how are you going to serve that. For us, we had the bread rolls and so on the table, so people could sort of have some bread and dips and that whilst they were waiting, which worked quite well. And obviously they'd already had the canapes before, so that's a good thing as well, because if you're having a barbecue it can take a little bit longer than a regular sit down meal where it all comes out the table at a time, because obviously the guests have to go up and choose what they want and so on. So it depends how you have it. I know some venues they serve the meat to the table and they have like a little side bit, others they make you go outside, which is what happened with us. So if you're having something like a hog roast or a barbecue or something like that, that's something to bear in mind. Venue restrictions, so when you are looking at your venue, don't forget to ask them questions surrounding food. So for example, do they charge corkage, because that's an extra cost? Do they have set catering suppliers? I know some venues do and you have to use the suppliers. Others it's a case of you have a minimum spend, so it may be that the venue at first glance looks really cheap, but then by the time you add on the additional catering cost it can be considerably more than if you went somewhere else and they let you have sort of free choice on, you know, who you have. I know with our venue we could choose our own suppliers, but then they charge additional costs for that privilege. So sometimes it works out cheaper to be in-house, other times you don't have a choice. All things you need to take into consideration. Also, I know with a lot of hotels and so on, you can get packages where the food's included and then you pay a supplement for additional drinks or you know, a wider choice of variety on the menu and so on. A lot of my friends have gone for packages because you get tablecloth, cutlery, glasses, sashes. You'd be surprised that if you go external and you decide to do it yourself, just remember that there are hidden costs such as that. Some you know, some caterers will say to you, oh, it's £6,000, that doesn't necessarily include the VAT, so always double check. If you can afford to, if you've got friends maybe that can help you, if you want to save money, it maybe you do kind of like a bake-off theme in the afternoon or evening, and you get everyone to bring a cake, and then that, or you could have cake as your dessert. In terms of buffet, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be cheaper. We actually found it cheaper to do bacon sandwiches, have cake and so on, and that actually was really popular. I thought that because we had a barbecue that bacon baps in the evening would be too much meat. Not the case. So do take into account the age and you know, dietary requirements of people, and you know, if you've got children, do you want smaller portion size? Are they of an age where maybe the parents will supply their own food? Do you have baby, you know, facilities, you know, for heating up food and milk and so on? All things to consider. Do they have chairs, high chairs for little ones? Do they have somewhere where the parents can put their buggies? Yes, I've already talked about charges for external suppliers and so on, and evening requirements. Yeah, so dietary requirements, can they cater for vegetarian, gluten-free, diabetics, all that kind of thing. Children obviously. Cleaning up at the end of the day and setting up. So if you go with, say, a hotel or a venue that is purely for wedding, then they will already 9 times out of 10 take care of that for you. You need to make sure that that's included in the cost, or find out if it's an additional cost. And if you are doing what me and Al did, which is getting married at a venue where you literally do it all yourself, we went with suppliers that were recommended by the barn, but if we wanted to have the alcohol cleared up at the end of the day, that was an additional fee. We decided to do that in the end because it was just less hassle, but you know, it maybe you can, I don't know, get some friends to help you clear up if you're on a really tight budget. Don't rule out village halls, that's another way to save money. Number of staff, again, if you're going with a venue where it's like a package, then obviously the staff will automatically be included. With us, we had to pay per staff member in the evening, and like for so many hours to run the bar. We decided to run our own bar, and our venue didn't charge corkage, but then obviously by the time we got all the alcohol from our wholesalers, but then by the time you paid for the staff and everything, I don't know whether it worked out cheaper. I mean, obviously you could make back some of the money by the sales and so on, and we were able to charge less to our guests. So that's something else to take into consideration, is how much are the drinks, you know, do you have to pay extra for the bar? All different things really. Chair covers have already covered. Table layout, when you look at your venue, think of the number of guests you got, speak to, you know, if they have a wedding planner or an events planner or somebody that knows the venue, ask them, you know, what the general or typical layout is. Ask them questions. Now, what's the best table layout? What's the best way to set the venue up? What tends to work well, what doesn't work so well? Can you cater for 80 guests, or you know, do you have capacity for 160, or is it purely, you know, 20 guests? All questions to ask them. Already spoken about setting up. If you can, get somewhere that will set up for you, or if you're having a village hall, you know, get friends and family to help you. I believe that's all the things that I've covered today, but if there's any questions that you have that I haven't covered, then leave a comment below and I'll try and answer them. I'm not a wedding planner. This is just things that I've learned as a bride, and you know, like getting married and so on last year. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's been useful. If it has, give it a thumbs up please, that'd be really appreciated. And I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday, and I'll see you next week. Take care, bye.